Welcome everybody to the third episode of the Clean Finish Wrestling Podcast. Like a true podcaster, started a podcast, then I buggered off for a few weeks and didn't touch it again. Life got in the way. Easter holidays, for the Americans that may or not be watching, Easter holidays is a break. You have Easter. You have Easter. Of course you have Easter. It's just a break we had. I've just not had time. I have kids. I have a life. It's difficult to get this in. However, it's interesting that I missed that week where that I'm going to claim it. I'm going to try and be and I said it before, the most positive wrestling podcast out there, and I sustain that. I maintain that. However, that recent SmackDown with the whole Pat McAfee thing, Jesus, it's tough to defend that. Really tough, and it just, what is going on? Why is he involved? We're having a kind of good feud with Randy and Cody. Like, I don't know what's going on there, but we continue. We power through. Interesting enough, things are seen kind of simmering down. We've had a lot of the big punch ups in the fights with Brock and Oba and Roman and Punk, Cody and Randy Orton, but that seems to be simmering down in the last like kind of leading up to WrestleMania. Just, I feel makes the tension, more. It makes WrestleMania seem more exciting, really. Lots of things are kind of happening. So we're gonna remain positive and take the good from the lots of bad that's been happening recently, and we're gonna kind of talk about what's happened most recent SmackDown and Raw. So without further ado, let's talk about it. So SmackDown came live from San Jose Bay Area. Again, I'm going to maintain my geography of America sucks, but I know that's Bayley's kind of hometown, and the Usos have a lot of history and stuff there. I was really much looking forward to the SmackDown to see the ramifications of last week, the previous week, with that god awful Pat McAfee thing. It just, the fallout of that was really intriguing to me. I think it's doing its job, but is it needed? I didn't think so. I'm not really. I've never been a big Pat McAfee guy. I always felt like in his early inception, he felt like he was out there for himself. All the stuff he did with Adam Cole back in the NXT time, like, even then I didn't like him. I didn't know who he was. I see the fun he brings, but he's always been hard work for me. So this was quite intriguing for me to see on the SmackDown. And like straight away we see kind of Cody coming in. He's just super pissed off. He's told not to engage with Pat for some reason. No real ramifications as to what will happen, but he's told not to engage. Like, he's supposed to be this safe person. Like, Jelly rolls back again. He backs him up. So it's like that's kind of interesting, and that kind of expands throughout the night. Shortly after that, Rhea comes out, and again, everyone's just. It seems to have ramped up recently. Everyone's just at boiling point. Obviously, that's the idea for Mania, is to make it so everyone's kind of heated and pissed off. Rhea comes out hot after all the stuff happened with Jade. She calls out Jade again, and then Io comes out. Jade attacked Io previously, and he attacked her Io. And Io comes out, and she says Rhea doesn't need to be her shield. She'll fight her own battle. So she calls out Jade. So that sets up a nice match for them later on that night. First match of the night, Bayley gets a huge pop. Her hometown. Bayley returns to face Alexa. I've always liked the chemistry between Alexa and Bayley, like on the mic and in the ring. They always got kind of good chemistry there. So they worked really well with each other. I think this tag team thing has been interesting in that, I love the idea, and it's been building to it quite a bit. However, it's not had a kind of story to it outside of the titles. There's been a lot of backstabbing, and Bella's supposed to be involved, and that's Nikki Bella's injured at the minute, so we don't know what's happening with her. But it could have been better considering the people involved, and there could have been more personal jibes and story to it considering the relationships. But they're still kind of building to that, and I think the match will be quite fun. No idea who win. I'd love Bayley to win. I'm a big Bayley fan. I'd love her to come out with Lyra, particularly because she didn't get their Mania moment last year. But we'll see what happens with that. Again, fun match. Charlotte ends up costing Bayley the match. I don't know what it is with the hometown. I thought it was like a Vince thing. The hometown superstar comes and they always end up losing. I don't know what that is. Is it to create like this heat? I don't know. Just let them. Again, I'm trying to be positive in this world. Just let the flipping hometown person win sometimes. Like, I don't really get it. But again, all in all, good match. It adds. it doesn't add a lot, but it adds, you know, the kind of momentum in that. I find it. I'm looking at it as a kind of unpredictability. I don't know who's going to win. I don't know who's going to come out. All the competitors seem to have some sort of momentum going into it. So again, the match at Mania will be quite fun. And we had Trick kind of reaching out to Mello. You know, that teases that kind of thing where, you know, Mello kind of still wants his pot. He feels kind of hard done by, and Trick is kind of reaching out. It's just interesting again how that dynamic shifted. You know, how Trick was the sidekick to Mello for years, and then you know, that balance has really shifted recently when Trick came in. Like, Trick is ridiculously over. We had then a Drew kind of pre-recorded promo, getting pretty good how they pulled it out, and there was a lot of references to like, I like Drew. He's just the best because they paint him in such a way which doesn't give a crap. Like, you know, he's pointing out Jacob's criminal past and being a bad dad, like, out of nowhere, just calls him a bad dad for no reason. Like, is it because he was a criminal? Like, criminals can still be good dads, I guess. But like, yeah, it's just very good, very on point for Drew. And again, just reeling up that heat for that. And then after, what was quite interesting is, like, you know, Jacob's reaction to it, and then we had the interaction with Solo and Tama, and the MFTs and all that, and it's like, just the interwoven. I'm a big sucker for like long-term story, interwoven stories and stuff. Like, you don't just forget about your past. Like, they've all got history. And then Solo kind of making jibes at at Jacob, and kind of making all these comments about how he's fallen and everything else, and like, that then leads to a match with him and Tama kind of later on in the evening. But yeah, it's, again, Solo's doing some good stuff. I rate Solo so much. I think he brings so much to it. He's great comedy timing. He can go in the ring. Like, I think he's an all rounder. So next we get the debut match of Royce Keys, aka Powerhouse Hobbs. Again, we had like a little, you know, promo thing before about how he's had to kind of, you know, he's had a really tough life and he's got to powers through. That was terrible. But yeah, he's kind of getting up through there, the match he had against Berto, you know, paint by number squash match. Like, although Berto got some good offense in it, you know, I really rate Berto and Garza, but their job was to make Royce Keys look incredible, and that's what they did. And I think Wade and Joe did a great job in kind of bigging up Keys. Like, every move he did, any kind of offense, just they made it seem like it was this phenomenal thing. Like, really, really did well in kind of boosting who he is. It's an interesting time to debut him. You know, just before, you know, a couple of weeks out from Mania, to debut him now. Usually you'd expect him to kind of pop up after the Raw after Mania or SmackDown after Mania. I think he'll be involved in something big. Like, you know, we've got the teaser for him now. I think there'll be something big, him coming something big when we kind of get back to the kind of Raw after Mania or SmackDown after Mania time. And then we kind of had him and Solo making a kind of move towards Keys, trying to recruit him maybe, or there's something that's going to happen there, which I think, you know, that could blow into something quite big. Nice kind of transition, but, you know, the way they're building Keys up is he's going to do something pretty big, and I'm hoping. I quite liked him to stay as a face, but I know in AEW he's a great heel, so maybe that's the way they'll go. We then get Pat McAfee, coming out, you know, quite, despite the controversy and lack of interest and confusion around why he is involved, there was obviously some anticipation as to what he's going to say. I don't think he quite lived up to that. So he comes out and he kind of acknowledges what CM Punk said to him. CM Punk had referenced him before, and he makes reference to Punk being a hypocrite and reference to Saudi Arabia, and you know, taking TKO money and not giving it to the fans. You know, despite bitching about the ticket prices. And you know, it's great that WWE acknowledged the high ticket prices, but it does reek a little bit of desperation of the whole, oh, we're going to offer 25% off for one night, particularly as then McAfee's like talking crap about night two, just sucking. I was like, this is your biggest show of the year, historically, your biggest show of the year, and it's a two-nighter thing. You know, I've had my thoughts about the two nights thing. As a UK fan, two nights is great. It does split it up, so I'm not exhausted by the end of it. However, I do sometimes miss the days of the 4-hour WrestleMania, action packed full of matches, and it was concise, and it was to the point, and great things happened. I appreciate it's a business and it's a spectacle and all that stuff now, but 2 days is a lot, and I don't know. It's just the whole thing just kind of, it just reeked of, yeah, okay, we've had the backlash of the tickets. Just lower the tickets. I know for me personally, like I went to Cardiff with my little boy recently, and it was, fairly affordable for me and him to go. We had half decent seats, but like for us to even attempt to get in the front row, oh, it's mental. Like it's not designed for your for your kind of diehard fans anymore. Even your casual fans, it's designed. I don't know who it's designed for. Just these mega rich people that can afford 12 grand seats. Like it's nuts. Um, but yeah, Pat does this thing. Cody kind of comes out and bites back and calling him a play wrestler. Calling the fans his family. I don't know, not not big on Cody like acknowledging the kind of dweebs that these losers that wait at the airport and stuff and like harass fans. It's mental to me. Like, yeah, I, screw those guys. Um, but then like Pat gives everyone what they want by saying if Orton loses, he'll leave WWE forever. Immediately makes me think that Orton's going to win this because I can't see Pat going anywhere. Um, Pat even references AEW a little bit and Stardust and sucking ass. I don't know what that is. I don't know what Pat does in his spare time. Sucks ass, apparently. That whole kind of thing builds. Orton takes out Jelly Roll to kind of goad Cody, and then they kind of attack Cody. And then again, a weird thing at the end, Pat leaves with the title. Again, it's like all the focus is on Pat McAfee. We had this great thing with Orton and Cody. Orton turned on him, and there was that. I do wonder if there's a little bit of acknowledging the tickets, but then fans had kind of shifted from Cody to Orton, which was going to happen with the run Orton was on and his legacy and everything else. Was it to try and shift that balance back? I don't know. I'm a big Cody fan. I don't understand why people give him crap, but yeah, the whole thing just it's just odd. They could, there's so much history they can go into, and like they've even acknowledged it now. Like, and I don't know if it's part of it. I don't know if it's shoot or work or whatever, but like there's so much of their history they can delve into. So why do it this way? It's just odd. Like who is Pat bringing in that the WWE aren't? I don't get it. But yeah, we'll again we try and remain positive. I'm hoping they learned from last year's Travis Scott nonsense. That we're not going to get some kind of fudge finish. I don't know. I can't see Cody walking out in all honesty. But yeah, we'll see. So previously in the night we had the kind of confrontation between Tamara and Jacob. They have a good match. They're bound to have good chemistry. The family kind of connection there. There's a lot of emotional heat involved, where they're making kind of comments about each other, like what happened to you. You used to be one of us. Blah blah blah. Match was good. What it eventually led to was Jacob getting the win, but then Drew coming out and attacking Jacob. And it wasn't the back and forth it usually is. Drew kind of really had the upper hand here. Really kind of really like just went all in on Jacob, which again is kind of on brand with the kind of match they're looking to have, which is really great. Um, he attempted to handcuff him many times. I don't know where he got these goddamn handcuffs from, like the pound shop or something. The worst handcuffs I've ever seen in my life. It's very reminiscent of that kind of Roman dog thing. I don't know. For a minute I was thinking, are they going to go back to that crap? But yeah, like, this the like it, I really appreciate this, but like surely you like test this out and like bless Jacob and Drew. They were trying their best and it just did not. Obviously, it still worked and it was just chaotic, but it was just so apparent. Like, yeah, at least they didn't do like a Lyra and slip the things back in. But yeah, it was good and it added to it. Obviously, seeing one of them get the upper hand for once is great because it's usually back and forth. And I imagine maybe SmackDown Jacob might, I don't know, but yeah, that feud's still kind of ramping up. And that'll be some good stuff. Just you've got a lot of money from all these. I just said about the ticket prices being insane. Like, buy some real handcuffs. What's wrong with you? So again, we had some more backstage promos. We got Danhausen and R-Truth kind of having their thing again, which is always great to see. It feels like Danhausen's almost like taking the torch from Truth. It's so tricky with Truth. I just like sometimes his kind of shtick does get a bit old, and I hate to say it, but like sometimes it's so ridiculous, and I just think, like, I love Truth. Everybody loves Truth, and there was a whole "we want Truth" thing. Like, but even that, like, that could have been so much more, and it didn't end up being that. And we also had some stuff with Danhausen and Kit as well. You know, Danhausen's come along, like we're all Fanhausens now. After that debut, they've managed to bring that right back, which is just fantastic. So we teased before Trick versus Cardona, Matt Cardona before, but before that match could happen, Sammy kind of comes out, immediately gets booed. It's crazy to me that he's getting booed like this. Like I do not know where it's come from outside of people wanting Trick and Mello and they want the kind of new guard to come. It still just blows my mind how much he's getting booed. And like I love that they have obviously acknowledged it and Sammy just said he doesn't care. You know, he calls it out, which was the right thing to do. You don't just pretend it's not happening. He calls out, but I think they've just put Sam in a really bad spot here, in that he he's Sami Zayn. He's earned his place. He should have been world champion by now. I think this has hurt him in that. I think he needs to not be with these new guys that are insanely over. Like, you know, it feels like he's in the way of Mello and Trick, and he's the reason Mello's not at Mania, which Mello should be. He should, after all the work he's done with the title and how good he is, he should be. It could have easily been Trick and Mello. I don't know what Sammy would have done. There was stuff with Alistair Black and some of this other stuff he was doing with Orton. Like, I don't know, but it's a very tricky situation. But I kind of handled it as best they could. As I said, he's just in a difficult spot. Then we had Cardona and Trick shortly after that. Trick kind of gave his thing right back to Sammy. It's a decent match. Again, Matt Cardona is kind of floating. I'm hoping they find something proper for him kind of post Mania. But then Sammy kind of got involved. Like little Yachi, little Yachty. He he took a hell of a haluva kick, which I thought would like respect him. He seems to be putting in, despite all the kind of shenanigans going on. Trick still gets the win, which again builds that momentum from him. He has to win at Mania, unless I'm hoping they do like a double turn, you know, because Sammy's kind of heading that way anyway. It'd be fantastic if they did that, but yeah. We'll see what kind of happens with then. So we had Royce Key's debut match. We also had Danhausen's debut match against Kit Wilson. Again, the WrestleMania is so long. I don't understand why they do these things. Like they do them before, like with the Battle Royal and all that stuff's kind of next week. Like why? Surely there's enough room. I feel like again to draw back to old days, like these 4 hour shows, even the 5 hour shows, you could fit in so many matches. It doesn't seem like they're doing that. Like the WrestleMania cards aren't as big as usual, I don't think, and it's like a lot of these matches are kind of being shoehorned in now. But you know, the match was great. Again, Wade Barrett did a great job. I love Wade Barrett. I think he did a great job, and I think Dan Hams did like a Northern Light suplex, and he made it seem like it was the greatest move ever. And Dan Housen's got, you know, relatively good physique, and he knows how to wrestle. So it's so funny how they kind of bigged him up like he was doing this like insane spots when he was just kind of doing basic wrestling moves. It was again done to perfection. Yeah, he's just like slowly kind of becoming that top comedy kind of character in the industry. Then we had our main event, which was Jade versus Io. Again, like these two, their look of them, their different styles, everything, it shouldn't work, but like the height difference and their kind of physical stature and everything, but they work really well. I find, you know, Io I think works well with anyone, and Jade has really come along quite well. I know she got a lot of crap before about being green, all this stuff, but I think she works fantastic. Again, pretty good match to end the night. I'm glad these guys get normalize the women getting main events now. It's just always great for me. Ended as you expected to, with like a run in from Rhea, with no real kind of thing afterwards. But again, I just think them not really getting physical, you know, that might happen next week. But again, that's the nice thing. So when it gets to Mania, then they can finally explode. So yeah, in all, SmackDown was good. Not been the best consistently, in all honesty, particularly after last week's, the previous week's kind of whatever that was, that Pat McAfee thing, really just really stuck in everyone's kind of in their mind of just not sure where the direction for creative's going. But yeah, it kind of offered something there. What I think what sucks about SmackDown is people like Chelsea Green are being shown as much. Like Tiffy's kind of just floating, Julia's kind of just floating. Like there's a lot of people there that could have more particularly like Julia and Tiffy, like not even being a Mania is crazy. I know Chelsea Green's injured, but like, yeah, a lot of these injuries have kind of impacted a lot of this stuff. They're making do what they can, but yeah, SmackDown, I just feel like has been, if you had to compare the shows, the Raw is definitely kind of providing more than SmackDown is at the minute. Which, SmackDown for a while was doing a lot better. This week's episode of Raw came live from Sacramento. It's the go-home show for Raw, 6 days out from WrestleMania. Started out, a bit differently with a kind of pre-recorded promo from Roman Reigns. Again, strong opening, kind of calls up Pat a bit, calls up Punk for being a fraud, kind of agrees what Pat was saying despite not liking Pat. Again, good solid way to start the show. It was different. It kind of gives that WrestleMania vibe that they're starting the show with the production a little bit differently. And then immediately after that, Brock comes out. We get the contract signing. They decide to do the Triple H in the ring, so the big boss is there, so it's serious. So the contract signing, but it was just going to be Brock. They decided to separate them, which I thought was great. We've had a lot of their with Brock and Oba. It's just been intense, and then to have that kind of ease off, which kind of, again, I mentioned already, kind of builds that slow tension. Is something going to happen later on in the night? Is there going to be some kind of altercation or whatever? So that was quite nice. Brock kind of takes the mic at one point, which is always good to see. Again, straightforward, but I think it added to, we had a lot of their kind of big scraps before, so now we have to wait another week before they can even touch each other. Like, I think it was a good opening. After that, we get a kind of pre-recorded promo with ISHO Speed. He's getting hyped up by Theory and Paul. I think the direction of it's going to be something will happen where Speed, because it's all like he's a kind of accidentally fallen in this position. He didn't mean to do this. Didn't mean to hit Leno. I didn't mean to cost the Usos. I think there'll be some sort of something will happen at Mania where he kind of turns back and aligns with the Usos. I don't know. Something will happen. There will still be a switch. It's very funny. The one thing I've seen around a lot of the celebrity involvement is people getting outraged. Like all these celebrities, you've got Jelly Roll, Little Yachty, you've got Aisha Speed, Pat McAfee, all this stuff. I'm just like, celebrities have been a kind of staple for WrestleMania in particular, like wrestling as a whole, but WrestleMania from WrestleMania 1, like, I don't know why, I don't know what it is. Is it people complaining? I don't know. But like, there's always been a thing. Like, there's always been a thing with celebrities. Just, it might be celebrities you don't like, but there's always been celebrities involved. Like, just what it is, I've got no issue with it. Like, it adds, brings new viewers, all that stuff. Like, there's no problem there. Obviously, it's an issue when it's the detriment of others that could be in the show, but at the same time, you've got to view it from the business side a bit. There's not going to be everything that we like, but other people might watch because of it. Like, I think it's fine. And yeah, the match itself, at Mania, I think it's opening Saturday night. It'll be fine. It'll be fun. Ellen Knight's there. I just pray to God Ellen Knight gets something else afterwards. Because that, he needs it more than anything. He has to win Money in the Bank. Said it so many times. I think everyone wants it. But again, that segment was fine. I think Aisha Speed will do something mad athletic on the night, so that'll be fun to watch. First match of the night was Charlotte versus Lyra. Again, we kind of delve into the tag team division. They're doing what they can without the Bellas. There's been a lot of interference and everything else going, but I don't remember a time where these. I'm sure they have had a match before with Charlotte and Lyra, but I don't remember a time off the top of my head that I can think of it. But I thought they worked so well together. They had such good chemistry, and like, I'd absolutely love to see more of those guys. Again, big fan of Lyra with her stuff in NXT UK up into NXT and everywhere else. But yeah, really, really enjoyed those two going at it. How much I love Charlotte and Alexa. It'd be good to see. Like, I do enjoy Charlotte, and the singles matches are great. So it'd be good to see, more her and Lyra, or come with some of these newer ladies that she's not fought. And then Lyra ended up getting, a bit of a cheat victory, but she got the win against Charlotte, which is, again, huge. And again, just more like uncertainty around who's going to win, which I think is the big pull for me, as I mentioned before, around that match at Mania. Who's going to win? I don't know. So yeah, I'm really intrigued by the women's match, and it's great to see all 8 women get that kind of highlight spot. After the match, we had a backstage segment with MFTs, kind of out of nowhere, rolling up on Raw, again to confront the Usos, similar to they did with Jacob last week. And again, I love how Solo's still like kind of maintaining that de facto leader role, despite, you know, he's obviously the leader of the MFTs, but like just saying what a mess the bloodline's in, and you know, it's just since like all the stuff years back, it's just a mess at the minute, which then leads to kind of LA Knight and the Usos kind of coming in the match for them, those guys and the MFTs later on. I got all the time in the world for Solo, but yeah, it's nice to just see them. Nice surprise them seeing them on Monday Night Raw. So we had Stephanie after that brutal kind of attack on Liv. Stephanie Valcour comes out. Oh, it was so disgusting. I watched it and like I've watched it so many times because I don't know why, it's just so satisfyingly gross. The head, the kind of head connect of Roxanne and Liv was so disgusting, but so satisfying in a weird way. Like, so messed up. But she comes out for an interview with Kathy Kelly in the ring. Before the interview can even begin, you know, Liv comes out and just absolutely guns for Stephanie. Again, really just, I love how this has developed. It's got really physical and really intense really quickly. It's become this really personal thing. Like Liv keeps going after her mum. I love a mum joke. And then like Stephanie kind of before went on about how Liv was handing everything to her. Like, I'm really looking forward to this match. Again, not sure who's going to win. I'd love for Stephanie to win and it become more like, it's been intense, but there's been, I don't know, this feels like a little bit something missing in terms of the it's personal, but like that character depth's not quite there. It just seems to be, it's like intense rage at this point, but again, really fun. I think Liv did mess up one point where she kind of knocked down Kathy Kelly, so I imagine Rhea Ripley's gonna mash her up at some point. But you know, Rhea loves doing that. But yeah, this feud's kind of, I think it's delivered really well, and their match I think will be again one we're talking about. So after that, we had an Asuka kind of Kyrie EO thing backstage. Like, Asuka's really belittling Kyrie at this point, like she's literally calling her, like whistling to her like a dog. Like, it's such good stuff. But why isn't it happening on Mania? I don't understand why Asuka and EO, like EO again, I mentioned like Tiffany, like EO not being on Mania. I'm sure she'll appear in some capacity, but her not being in a match with Asuka is crazy. Like, they've built this perfect story of like Asuka versus EO at Mania, and then, you know, Kyrie's torn between who to go to, and they could go so many ways with it. Kyrie could just turn on Asuka and join EO, or she could turn on them both and kind of become her own person. Like, there's so much that could happen, but I imagine they'll pick it up, but like, yeah, it's mad that it's not having a Mania. It's like the perfect part, perfect moment, perfect time to big everyone up. Like, I don't know, it's mental that they're not kind of carrying on. I know they're leading, you know, leads to a match with Io and Kyrie, but yeah, I just find it baffling that it's not something they're continuing at WrestleMania. So as previously in the night, we had the MFTs kind of going at the Usos and LA Knight. We had their match. Jey Uso, he managed to pull off like a over the top rope kind of splash, um, which, like, compared to last year when he fumbled that, this was always nice to actually see him hit that. So it's like, you know, the Usos and LA Knight versus JC Mateo, Solo, Tonga Loa, I think it was. I think Ged Solo put on a great performance. I think people forget how good he is. He's so good. His stuff in NXT, as you know, was really good. I think he's great in the ring, and I always enjoy seeing him. The interesting part towards the end was, obviously this match was like a preamble to the match at Mania with the Vision and Aisha Speed for LNO and Usos, but like Tama Tonga was absent throughout the whole match, and then he makes like a late appearance, and then costs the MFTs the match, like inadvertently, who knows. But it's really, I really like Tama Tonga, and I think seeing him being lined up as like the breakout of the MFTs is like the perfect thing for him. Like, it's really going to push him to that next level. I don't know where he would sit in the ranks then outside of that once it's finished. I think that's the tricky thing with these big stables, is like when they do eventually break up, how do you sustain everyone's status so they don't just get forgotten about? Tama Tonga is one of those guys I think will go on to kind of be a top star. He's done wonderful things in other companies. I think he'll do great here. So after that match, we had Gunter coming out to do a promo, and again, very typical of what's happening recently. Before people even come out to speak, they're getting attacked by their opponent or whoever they're coming to talk crap about. Seth comes out immediately with his receipt after the other couple of nights where he got attacked by Gunther from behind. And then Seth calls him out. He goes like, you wouldn't explain to me why you're doing this. It can't just be random. And again, I like that they call it out because they're asking the questions that we're asking. Is it something they planned already, or is it retrospective? I don't know, but what it just does. It does feel like Gunter's being shoehorned in to Mania because him not having anything solid after what he's done with this kind of retiring people shtick. It didn't make sense, but then Gunter then claiming that he is fed up and angry at Seth for saying he's the best when he's not the best. Gunter's the best wrestler in the company and not Seth, and like really getting in his face about how he's going to prove that at WrestleMania. I think it's perfect. It makes sense. His thing is, I'm the best wrestler. I'm a pure wrestler. I don't have gimmicks. I don't high fly and show off and showboat. He just goes in and messes people up. Like it's a perfectly written thing. I think I've seen other people say it. I think as well. It seems like he'll get the win at Mania, and the favor he wants from Heyman is to retire Brock Lesnar. That makes sense to me. That makes sense to how the thing's going to go. Brock's getting on. It makes sense. It would look great for Gunter. I definitely get a lot of positivity from Gunter's side, and I think those two would just absolutely. It'd be the perfect kind of wave with it in terms of Ober, all the Ober stuff. Maybe Brock is kind of on a decline because if he loses to Ober on a WrestleMania, that's just the dumbest thing. Like there'll be no positive spin on that at all. But I think that seems to be where it's going. So, and Gunther and Seth will have an absolute their match will be incredible. Following from previous segment with Io and Kyrie, they have another good match. They can't not have a good match. They've got such history and natural chemistry together. It all makes sense. Again, the main story with that is the involvement of Asuka and like the three of them kind of having that history, but also that Kyrie stuck in the middle kind of thing. Asuka obviously interferes in the match. What got interesting was then Rhea kind of comes out to defend Io again, but then before she can get anywhere involved, like Jade comes out as well. All hell's breaking loose. There's a big fight coming, kind of happening there. But even then, Asuka seems like she's like down for the count. Io's going to win, but then she then ends up costing Io the match in the end anyway. But again, it's all of this is great, but the Mania match, like, are they going to try and shoehorn it in and fit it in? I don't know, but like, yeah, it's frustrating to watch when you see like Io is one of the best in the world, like wrestler in the world, in all companies everywhere. They say it all the time on the show. I would say the same about Asuka. She's just incredible. So them two having a match for Kyrie's freedom, like it just writes itself. So it's disappointing if it's not on the show. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. It might be something they pick up after, but I feel like they're missing a moment there. So we had Brock earlier signing the contract. This time it's Ober's turn. So Ober comes out with his beautiful walk and people attempting and failing to do the overwalk. Guy's such a mega star already. It's ridiculous. Signs the contract. Heyman kind of looking again. Heyman selling. It's not just Brock selling Ober so well. Heyman is selling him. He's like genuinely terrified of him. Admires his speedy rise, compares it to Brock's rise and everything else, but says obviously Brock is gonna beat him. He's gonna win. He has to say him. That's his thing. And then Ober kind of comes back again. I think people, because he's such a sheer dominant beast of a person, Ober, they forget not forget, but like his I don't expect perhaps his promo skills to be just as good. He's so good on the mic. He's going against Paul Heyman, who arguably is one of the best on the mic ever. And he kind of bites back at everything he says, saying that he could come and destroy Heyman, but the emotional toll of being Brock is going to linger on and stay with him forever. Like it's just gold. He can bite back physically and verbally, and it's just fantastic to see, and it's very rare to see in such a superstar as well who's very new to the business. He's just picked up so quickly. Like I think this will be the year of Ober. If he doesn't win a title this year, I'll be amazed. Only thing that slightly concerned me, and I don't know if it's just historical wrestling thinking, is that you often see the night before or the week before a big pay-per-view, the winner usually gets beaten up the week prior. Like there would be some sort of confrontation. And I was quite surprised that Brock didn't come out. Like that was quite nice because they kind of teased it and felt like, oh, we'll keep them separate, and then you kind of think, oh, something's going to happen later. It didn't, which I think is great. They've been beating each other up for weeks. Well, I say that Ober's been beating up Brock for weeks, but then we didn't get that final confrontation, which I think is great. It builds a lot of intrigue as to how the match is going to look. Is Ober just going to run through Brock? Is Brock going to get any offense? Is Brock going to kind of come out hot? Like, who knows? It's brilliant. But yeah, my only slight concern, just because WWE can be dick sometimes, is that will Ober lose? And I think if he loses, it's going to be such a big problem. He can't lose. It makes more sense if Ober wins, shoots him to the moon, and then Brock has a slow decline, losing to other people or whatever, or he has a bad run of it and then kind of ends up like it could be if I lose my final match, I'll retire or something, and then Gunter takes him out. Like, I don't know, but yeah, that was my slight concern based off recent kind of previous WWE history. But otherwise, yeah, this is going to be Sunday night opener Mania. This is going to be incredible. I think it's going to be a big shock to start the night, which I think is exactly what we need. Final night of the match was Javon and Dragon Lee versus Rusev and JD. Obviously, they're all fighting the Intercontinental title match and the ladder match at WrestleMania. It's going to be a show-stealing match. What I love is the difference. And they alluded to it in the match, as Rusev is so different from everybody else in the match, like all these big high flyers and everything else. And he's this hard-hitting kind of monster. And I think that's really make a difference. And they really fed into that with, the match itself was really fun. Like, it was so fast paced, they couldn't keep up with what was going on. But then at the end, so Rusev and those guys lose. Doesn't really matter who won or lost in that match, but everyone comes out at the end. Every participant, Rey Mysterio, Penta, Rusev at the end was standing like dominant. He destroyed every single person there, and I think that's a really good look for him. Again, him coming in, he's had kind of slow waves, but nothing solid. Again, I don't know who's going to win this match. If Rusev, I think there's so many people that I wouldn't mind if they won. I love Penta. I hope he does win. But if Rusev won, I'd be happy. It'd be huge for Javon as well. There's a lot in this match, but it could go a lot of ways. And again, the match itself will be an absolute masterclass in show stealing. So yeah, that's going to be a really good match. Final segment of the night was Roman. So Roman starts the show, Roman ends the show. He gets Sacramento to acknowledge him, and then is immediately interrupted by Punk, who kind of comes through the crowd. Always nice to see. Is it a Shield reference? Is it him just kind of doing something different? Who knows? But kind of slowly walks through the crowd. Earlier in the night, Roman said about how Punk needs to tell the truth, or he's going to. Punk comes out, starts dropping truth bombs, saying he envies Roman for the position he's in, being handed the kind of golden ticket to the top. Being born into the dynasty, being born into this family, but he still also acknowledges that he worked his ass off to where he got to. He earned those 1,316 days. He kind of earned the spot he's in, but he's just envious of that. Even apologizing for bringing up his dad and everything else. At the same time, he talks about how he had to fight and scratch and claw and work his way through the Indies and work his way through Japan and dominate everywhere he's got to where he is now, which really I thought was really powerful. And what's great to see is the crowd is so split on these two. I'm not a Roman fan. I enjoy his stuff now. For the longest time, I didn't like him. A lot of the Bloodline stuff I did not enjoy. I think people forget how bad it was, really. It did add a lot, but I'm a big, I need my champion to be around all the time sort of thing. It's why I think I like Cody, why I like Punk, why I love Seth. And I just think we got very predictable. Roman became interesting to me as soon as he lost, and a lot of his stuff now is fun. I just don't like him to the title. I think him winning, I think the win gives more to Punk than it gives to Roman at Mania. It's one of the last few things Punk needs to do. Not to say he needs to disappear after that, but it's a big thing for Punk in his kind of big second run with WWE. Whereas with Roman, yeah, Roman can do so many other things. There's so many people Roman can face that he's not yet. People like Gunter, Oba, there's all these people. I'd love to see those things, not him in the title. So yeah, it's nice to see the crowd so split on both of them, which I think is great for this because they're both kind of Punk's obviously more hero, but Roman's like your anti-hero, and it's a good. I was unsure of Roman winning at Royal Rumble, but the match again, I still kind of am, just because I like surprises at Royal Rumble, but the match itself was going to be great. And yeah, so Punk did his bit, and Roman kind of comes back. He acknowledges how much he hates Punk, because of Punk's connection with the fans. He says he wishes that if he disappeared, the fans would be chanting for his name for 10 years. Like, it's all good stuff, and it's great stuff that they've acknowledged. No AEW direct references, which I found interesting. I thought they would have gone there, but I suppose you don't need it, but it was nice to kind of get that little cheap kind of pop in there. And then, Roman saying, you told the truth finally, except the fact that I'm going to win at Mania. It's just really good stuff there. Again, they didn't have to touch each other. Like Brock and Oba didn't have to touch each other. They've already had that. So when it gets to Mania, it's going to be really emotional, really powerful. It's going to be the same with Brock and Oba. When Oba does win, he better bloody win. That victory be even more powerful because they haven't had that this week of altercations. Yeah, so I just thought it was a wonderful promo to kind of end the night of chaos where a lot of things were kind of happening. It was a nice kind of tense simmer, as it were, to kind of end the night. So yeah, all in all, that Raw I think went down really well. Again, they're kind of outshining, outclassing SmackDown at the minute. I'm going to check, but I feel like this the smallest Mania card for both nights. I know collectively it's huge, obviously. It feels like both nights are quite small. Again, I take a breath of relief because staying up for 2 nights in a row that late is just, as a UK fan, US fans won't know this, but the UK it's so tiring, it's exhausting, but we have to do it because we love the products, particularly as I think I'm working on the next Sunday after, but oh well. Yeah, but it's part of the fun of it. Um, and speaking of that, yeah, well, for me, I'm hoping to do maybe like a watch along thing. I don't know yet. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something. It'll at least be do a review show. I might arrange some sort of watch along going on, but there's this. I still have some questions kind of going to Mania. It'd be great to kind of watch it live with people and stuff as well. But yeah, some of my big questions kind of going to Mania is like, why are so many people like Tiffy, Asuka, Io, Mello not involved? It's mental. It's just crazy to me. And I guess maybe that's why people get annoyed with celebrities kind of coming in. But for me, that's part and parcel of it. But yeah, I think Raw ended really well. We've got SmackDown coming up. Got the Battle Royal. I think it will be the SmackDown before usually feels quite a bit not calmer, but as it's just the kind of final show before Mania, a bit more kind of subdued a bit. Be interesting to see the Cody stuff's obviously the main thing kind of going there. Got the Battle Royal as well, which is always fun. Entirely pointless, but always fun. Who doesn't love a Battle Royal? But it's just absolutely meaningless trophy. They need to just put some sort of stipulation to that. But yeah, anyway, WrestleMania is coming up soon. A few days away. Got the Hall of Fame. Tune at WrestleMania. Yeah, it's going to be good. So yeah, thanks so much again for watching and listening to my ramblings, and until next time.